the public shaming of men who openly acknowledge and confess the true things is a tactic of the enemy for the suppression of righteousness. Good morning, and welcome back to the Chinook podcast. What a delight.
What a delight.
Indeed. I don't know about y'all all in listening land, but I enjoy this.
You know, I had a moment of delight this very morning.
Oh.
I stepped out of my house early.
Yes.
And I just stood there and breathed because the rain was falling, which it hasn't done in quite a long while. And
there was no smoke.
The air was just really, really nice.
It was fresh and clear.
Well, I was working on night shift, and I was further up north, and there's quite a few fires in northeastern BC right now, and the smoke was so thick that we were joking that the non-smokers on our crew needed to update their insurance policies. But anyway, my name is Brad Donovan. I'm here with Jamie Souls and Pastor Nathan Zechveld, and we are smoke free. And
we don't have any pipes.
Yeah, we're sitting in a smoke-free room. How about that? A smoke-free and a conversation.
Yeah.
We're podcasting at a Baptist church, so I don't think it would go over well if we brought our pipes.
No, this is true. This is true. We can't smoke while we talk, which
also we just don't want to damage their building.
No, we don't want to do that. That's not loving. However, speaking of smoking, okay, now that we're on the topic of smoking, I think it was Lewis. Double check me on this on the internet, please. Okay. He once said that a pipe gives a fool something to stick into his mouth.
Oh.
And it gives a wise man time to think. and so it was a good conversational implement.
Yes. Well, I do remember a direct correlation at presbytery meetings back in the 2008 or 2009 or 10, a direct correlation between the blueness of the air and the quality of the conversation.
Right. That does sound good.
So this quote is attributed to C.S. Lewis.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
You checked it. I like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, we should do some book reviews.
Let's do some book reviews,
and then we'll get into Exodus,
Indeed.
Our favorite place these days.
Mm-hmm. I would like permission to start.
Please do.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've got a book that I'm working through. I'm still in the beginning stages of the book. It's called "Out of the Ashes: Rebuilding American Culture" by Anthony Esolen, and I've been told by a lot of people to read Anthony Esolen, and I was just like, whatever. But then I actually picked up his book Out of the Ashes, and I was like, wow, this book is so full of like quotable stuff. It's actually really good. So here's a paragraph on page 24 that has just led me to reflect quite a bit. So the point here is that the lie cannot be defeated by a vacuity. It has to be defeated by truth. But since we are embodied souls, the truth we are seeking must not merely be abstract. An axe cannot compete against a Sherman tank unless the Sherman tank is an abstract tank, an idea of a tank. The axe can smash that sort of tank all the time. Therefore, we have to immerse ourselves in things: trees, stars, mud, grouse, hay, stones, brooks, rain, dogs, fire, and the man-made things closest to the human hand and its work: hammer, shovel, paintbrush, wrench, wheel. The poet Gerard Manley Hopkins is my inspiration here. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple color as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh, fire-cold chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow, and plow, and all trades their gear and tackle and trim. It is hard to go completely mad if you spend your free time being free and accepting the free bounties of the world around. So I've been thinking about that a lot. Like,
that's good.
What do I do with my free time? Do I sit and tap away at my phone, or do I take my kids out into the forest and get them to look at trees and bugs and plants?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'd like to challenge the concept of free time.
Well, that too. And how do you want to challenge that?
Well, I don't think it exists.
No.
You have time for utility, right? Things that you must do, the tyranny of the urgent, the things that you want to do, right? You're taking the kids out into the forest so that they can eat bugs. I wouldn't call it free time. This is extremely
That's a
good
point.
time. Yeah, it's good time. It's not because I think usually when we think of free time, we're thinking of autonomous.
Yes.
Right?
So it's
me time.
That's right.
As opposed to, no, this is time for my children or my wife or my whatever.
It's time where you're building immortal souls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would get into quoting more from the first chapter, but I probably talked for long enough.
Yeah. But we wanted to get to Exodus, don't we? Yeah.
Right. Okay, I have before me a commentary on the Gospel of Matthew called Jesus as Israel by Peter J. Lightheart. I remember making use of this as I was working my way preaching through Matthew, and there's lots and lots of good food in this pass through the book of Matthew. Peter is a sharp-eyed commentator on the scriptures with a really good biblical foundation under him, under the way that he thinks. And so it's a really, really good read working your way through Matthew with this man. So again, Jesus as Israel by Peter J. Lightheart.
I really enjoy that man's work.
Yes.
And here's so for my recommendation, this book, one of us might have probably recommended it before, but I'll do so again.
You know what? It's always okay to recommend good books 2 or 3 or 10 times.
Yeah, there might be a reason for it. That's why we keep working through the Bible.
Yes, we've probably done that a whole bunch of times over the course of this podcast.
You know, if somebody were to plot out all the books that we've recommended, and then the types of recommendations we've given, that would be interesting.
Well, I don't see it as a glitch in the podcast system. It's actually a one of the garnishes.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's one of the features. A good book. The definition of a good book is one that you can return to in rereading profitably multiple times. Mm-hmm. Future Men by Douglas Wilson. I remember reading through this book probably around the time that my oldest was born, my daughter. I was reading about it because I thought, we might be having a boy. You never know. And then we had a girl, and I was like, well, you know what? The reading of the book was still profitable. And I actually need to go through this again with my boys, I think. It's a very interesting work, but one of the things that stands out, it's in chapter 2. It's the very beginning of chapter 2. Wilson writes, "We live in a feminist and effeminate culture. Because of this, at best, as a people, we are uneasy with masculinity, and with increasing regularity, whenever it manages to appear somehow, we call for someone to do something about it." And then this is where he gets prophetic. It's like he knows what he's talking about. "There are 2 basic directions a boy can take in departing from biblical masculinity. One is the option of effeminacy, and the other is a macho-like counterfeit masculinity. With the former, he takes as a model a set of virtues which are not supposed to be his virtues. With the latter, he adopts a set of pseudo-virtues, practices which are not virtues at all." Now, he published this book in 2001.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, well, in the we now have this thing called the manosphere. I think he was talking about it.
Yeah, I think he was.
And it hadn't appeared yet. There's some good things in here. I definitely recommend it. But he knew what he was talking about long before he needed to. I find it marvelous.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with the manosphere is it's made public and it's digitized the folly of men.
It has. And it, like you said, it's an adoption of pseudo virtue. It's not like in the manosphere, there aren't that many fellows telling you should read your Bible and pray every day, for example.
Oh, it's actually kind of rare.
Yeah, and when you do run across it, it's quite refreshing.
Speaking of which, we are going to tell you to read your Bible and to pray and to not steal, lie, or covet.
Yeah, we are going to talk about not stealing, lying, or coveting. We were talking earlier, and we were looking at what we were covering, and it was going to be stealing, lying, and coveting, and I was hoping we weren't having to practice.
Yes.
Come back home and tell your wife, yeah, you know what, honey, I stole, lied, and coveted this morning.
Yeah. No good. So let's go to the text.
Right.
And
we are in Exodus chapter 20. We've been working our way through. We did a podcast earlier in which we managed to get through the first 4 of the 10 words. And then the next podcast, we got through the next 3, which is quite something given how short the statements are that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. The last one we covered was verse 14 with 5 words, "You shall not commit adultery," and we looked at hitting on "You shall not steal." I mean, that's four short words, but we said no, there's too much in there. So today we are getting to "You shall not steal." That's the first place we're going.
Mm-hmm. All right, so where to begin with this? First off, you should not steal.
I think we could talk an entire podcast about just this one.
Oh, easily.
We could.
Oh, easily.
And now we're just using filler so that we know what to say. No,
Well,
I'm just kidding.
One of the there's a couple of things here that I think are helpful for us to think about when looking at this command, "You shall not steal." One of the first things is that this command is presupposing the existence of a category called private property.
That's an important observation.
So if ever a communist comes along and says, "But the Bible is kind of communistic and Jesus is a socialist," you can really put the lie to that with this commandment.
Right. Because if you are not allowed by God to take something from somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
well, that person's claim on that something is a claim of ownership.
Yes.
He's got dominion over that thing somehow.
Yeah.
And
I don't. Yeah, and we will get to an interesting interplay with the covetousness command, I think, with this as well. Because some of it, too, is very often the desire for my neighbor's thing that he legitimately owns takes the form of covetousness, and then I try to swindle him out of it.
Right.
Or I try to steal it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and that can be done in a multitude of ways, not least of which is by majority vote.
Yes, I think we really do need to talk about that. Stealing by law.
Yeah.
Yes, we do that here in Canada. This is actually...
well, and the idea that the government is above stealing.
Yeah, if the government does it, it's not theft, right?
Yeah.
There's something messianic about that notion.
So it is interesting to me, and I've seen this in the last years, how separated Christians are from the notion, modern day Christians in Canada especially, are separated from the notion that property rights are a biblical idea. And to cite some examples, I was having some interaction publicly with a retired Christian Reformed church pastor from Ontario 2 or 3 years ago on Twitter, and he was trying to convince me that there is no right to private property in Scripture. And then on this idea that the government can steal, I once preached a sermon on the 8th commandment in a Dutch Reformed church in Southern Ontario. And one of the comments that came back to me after the sermon was, well, you really shouldn't be preaching on the government. The government can't really steal. This is more just government dealings. And I was like, okay, so I'm catching a trend of comments in our culture where we really have no concept of private property, and I see it all over the Old Testament, especially like right here in the 8th commandment.
Right.
That God wants us to honor our neighbor by respecting his right to property.
Yeah, and there are some writers that I've read who would argue that a man's property is inherent in his person. So that to steal from somebody is to attack that man. And the argument usually runs something along the lines of man is made in the image of God by God. Man is given dominion over creation by God. Mm-hmm. And then my neighbor over here has taken dominion of some part of creation. He owns a pickup truck or whatever. So it's actually, because it relates to his dominion command,
yes,
which relates to the image of God in him, I'm actually, by stealing his truck, I'm attacking
You're
that
attacking
man.
him.
I'm attacking the man.
Yes.
which I find very interesting, especially in light of that Levitical law where if you catch a burglar in the act and he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
To quote Dolph Lundgren in Rocky III, if he dies, he dies. But if you go out and you pursue the man after the fact, like you find out 6 months later that that's the dude that stole my truck, and then you go out and knock him off, that's a manslaughter. That's a murder.
Right.
I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
I think God would have that kind of a nuance in his law. So, but there is this kind of this idea that if a thief is stealing something from you, he's stealing something that pertains to you. The property of a man is not. You can distinguish it from a man, but to separate it from a man is much. It's a much more tricky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've encountered this argument. I'm still working it around in my head. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Exactly how far I would say what, but it's an interesting line of reasoning.
It's all very intricately connected. So like David, when he kills Uriah, he first takes Uriah's wife, then he kills Uriah.
Yep.
Then you have it later with Ahab, is that he first takes Naboth's land, and then he kills Naboth.
Well, he kills Naboth and takes his land.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the order of it.
Yeah. But the interest.
But still, it's very connected to his life.
Yes.
And you also see the connection between his life and his wife as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in that case there, Jezebel used a legal fiction. She created a charge of treason against him.
Yeah, so there's deception employed.
Yeah. And for the purpose of
but
robbing.
that's not lying because that was government.
The government did that. I thought we established at the beginning that everything the government does is good. Yeah.
We don't need anti-corruption agencies.
What's a parliamentary budget office for? I don't know. Apparently not.
Apparently, Mark Carney can't steal. He doesn't need accountability.
Well, yeah, he doesn't need a budget either.
Yeah, that's right.
So I find it interesting that the Heidelberg Catechism, in dealing with this thing, with this command, has, I think, some very useful things to say. In Lord's Day 42, question 110, what does God forbid in the 8th commandment? God forbids not only outright theft and robbery, punishable by law, right? So the stealing.
Right.
Yeah.
But in God's sight, theft also includes all scheming and swindling in order to get our neighbor's goods for ourselves, whether by force or by means that appear legitimate, such as, and then we're getting into, and this I find very helpful, inaccurate measurements of weight, size, or volume, fraudulent merchandising, counterfeit money, excessive interest, or any other means forbidden by God. In addition, God forbids all greed and pointless squandering of his gifts. So according to the writers of the Catechism, theft also includes scheming and swindling. That's interesting.
By means that appear either illegitimate or legitimate.
Yeah, it appears legitimate, but it's a scheme. It's a swindle.
Because there was an appearance of legitimacy in the way that Jezebel took down Naboth.
Yeah. We have witnesses.
We have witnesses.
They're worthless men, but they're witnesses. Right?
But as long as we got witnesses, we got the 2 or 3. We've got all our checks crossed. It's legal. Down with him. Kill him.
We have 2 or 3 witnesses. We have met the bare minimum requirement of the law. But yeah, the inaccurate measurements of weight, size, or volume. That's another interesting one. Like back in the day, they would weigh money.
Right.
So
back when there was a standard, a gold standard or a silver standard or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, they would have a standard set. I'm not actually sure how many ounces the temple shekel was. I can't remember.
Right.
There's some historians dispute this because it's not really well understood.
Right.
But there is a later measurement, the Attic drachm.
Okay.
So that's the Greek weight that was used by the Seleucids, and we understand that one fairly well. I think it was 14.2 grams of silver at a 96% proof. So by the time Jesus comes along, the eastern part of the Roman Empire would have been using that kind of a standard. The Romans also had their own standard,
right?
But they used the Attic drachm in the east. So when Jesus is talking about money, he's speaking in monetary terms, referring to that weight. But in the temple period, we're not quite sure what their weight was, but they had a weight in the tabernacle in the temple period.
Okay, I remember Jerry Bowyer in his The Maker versus the Takers was arguing that the standard or that the unit of measurement in the temple was named the same as what was going on out in the out in the populace, but it was half a gain larger.
It was weighted differently,
right? So if you needed to purchase something necessary for your approach to God,
it cost more.
It cost more buying it from the temple.
That's an inflation right there,
right?
Because they changed the weight.
Right
now, there was a weight. If they'd have used the same weight throughout the entire nation, then there wouldn't have been a problem there.
Right.
Yeah.
When Jesus tosses out the money changers,
yes, he calls them a den of robbers.
Yeah, and that's what they were doing.
Because that's what they were doing. They were, in fact, robbers.
There's this great cuneiform tablet from the time of Abraham, where this dude, he was buying copper. So he sent his purchasing agent, to another city to buy this copper ingot. Mm-hmm. I forget how much it was. It was quite a bit, actually. And then he got it and didn't like the quality, and so he sent a warranty claim in, and we have the warranty claim. And you sold me copper that was, less pure than you advertised, right? So there was false advertising, and the guy shorted him on weight. You didn't actually have coinage until, like, the first coins appeared probably during, like, Isaiah-ish.
Okay.
Everything was weighted. It was measured by weight.
Right.
You get coins, which you would then check against the weight standard. And so you get that. Now, these days, we can mess with the scale differently.
Yes.
Yeah. It's called inflation.
Well, this is what I respect about Pierre Poilievre. There's a lot of things where I think Pierre Poilievre needs to be a lot more bold and out there. But on monetary policy, I think he understands it and he gets it, generally speaking. I went to a rally that he did in Brampton 3 years ago, and he was talking about the whole history of how inflation worked and how they devalued money. So he was talking about King John and how they would, like, shave off the edges off of coins so that they would lose value. And I thought it was really interesting because I think he understands how governments can steal. Yeah. And I was like, hey, this is the first politician in Canada in a while who actually understands how governments can steal.
Yes, and or is willing to say it publicly.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, Trudeau understood very well, like, quantitative easing.
Yeah. And Mark Carney gets it too.
Oh, he was involved in it. Like, I don't know if you remember back in 2008 when we had the subprime mortgage bubble collapse in the States.
Right.
And the Canadian banking system fared better because we had fewer, I guess, less exposure to those bad mortgages. But the one of the things that we did was we called it quantitative easing. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like we printed physical cash, but we printed digital cash,
right, and
then pumped it into banks, to prop up their liquidity. That means cash. That means money.
Yeah. So
we out of thin air created money, gave it to banks so that they wouldn't collapse because mortgages were being foreclosed on. Now, when you even electronically print money, you're adding to the money supply without adding to the production of goods.
Okay.
What do you think that does to your money? It drives the value down and the price up.
Yeah.
So your gallon of milk goes from $3 to $5.
Right.
It's not because the milk is more valuable. It's not because we have less milk. It's not because we have more demand. Because supply and demand do drive prices and should drive prices, but they do. Mm-hmm. But when the supply of the money increases, the value of the money by the corresponding percentage drops.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you add 40% to your money supply over the course of 2020, which we did, your money loses 40% of its value.
Right.
And we said that inflation was only like 3 or 4% during that period, and I think it was well over 20. Well over 40, because we increased our money supply by 40%. And that was a stated number.
It's bizarre.
And that's theft. That's stealing from me.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that the government, by the creation of this money, either by printing it or by out of thin air, they get to spend it first at the previous price. So if, a dollar is a dollar, and then the next day a dollar can only buy 80 cents worth, and you're the one printing that money, that 20 cents differential, you get to take advantage of it at first purchase.
So let's say I put $100 of cash in a cupboard 5 years ago. It's probably only worth $75 now.
Less.
Or even less.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a form of theft.
That is a form of theft, yeah.
It's a swindle.
And it's also a form of theft when, so like we consider various passages even in the New Testament which talk about theft. Paul to the church in Thessalonica, if a man does not work, then neither should he eat. So so our culture of welfare, obviously we do want to be providing room for those who can't work and providing services, not from the government, but as a society, we do want to be providing care for them. But there's a lot of people in our society who can work. And that is a form of theft when you, even though it appears legitimate because it's coming from the government, it's still a form of theft to be giving money to men who can work. To immigrants who are pouring into our country, and then they're getting all these checks and handouts.
Yep. There's also, we have an entire segment of our population in Canada that will work for a season and then go on unemployment for half the year.
So that's a big thing in Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
Is guys from Prince Edward Island will work in the oil patch for maybe 4 months of the year so that they can get their unemployment, and then they'll hang around for the rest of the year.
Yep. That's a big, that's I would say a cottage industry, more than a cottage industry in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
Everybody I know that
everybody knows about it out there.
Yeah. And so do we, because, the guys that refuse to do that stay out here. You'll get these guys coming out to Alberta from it's a big thing in New Brunswick, for example. I work with a number of guys from New Brunswick, and they all have come to the place, these guys, where they hate going home because they have to be in the company of men who don't work. I was 4 days ago talking to a fellow at work, and he's like, I hate going home because then I have to be around men who work for 4 months or 5 months until they can get their unemployment, and then they just sit around loafing around on the government pokey.
Yeah.
He said, I hate being around these men. And I'm like, I don't blame you.
So the thing is, we can blame it on immigrants pouring into Canada, but we're also just a wicked society.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing, and that's stealing, because you're gaming the system. You're doing a thing that appears to be legitimate to take money straight out of the pockets of those who actually work for the entire 12 months of the year.
Yeah,
the honest sort. You're taking money right out from them, and you've devalued labor, you've devalued money, and you're squandering gifts. That's another thing too that the Heidelberg says, the intentional squandering of God's gifts.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking from God and then spoiling or wasting with a certain intent is a form of theft.
Yeah.
From God, which I find very interesting.
So there's lots in those 4 words, isn't there?
Yes, and then we talk about the.
So it's not just robbing a gas station at gunpoint.
No,
there's a lot more to it.
It does include that. Yes, yeah. If you rob a gas station at gunpoint,
don't do that.
You have violated this commandment, and God is not pleased.
Right.
Yes.
Right, and there's all kinds of application, of course, when you're raising little children about do not steal.
Yes, that was my toy.
Yeah, that's a deeply held issue. The notion of private property runs right down to the bones in children.
It does, and the more children you have, the more complicated you realize that contract law can be.
Yes.
Right, because little Susie is playing with this toy that she got from little Johnny, but little Johnny was pretty sure that she only got that for 15 minutes. That was a loan. and she thought that it was there was a transaction here. This was not a loan. Right? I'm not leasing the toy. I own the toy. It's like whoa. Okay, let's back up. Let's re-examine the contract. What did you say? Yeah, what did you mean to say? Oh, there's a lawyer in the heart of every child.
Yes.
But it's good practice. It is good practice. There's also I was going to mention something here about. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention one of the more positive aspects that's mentioned in. I think it's mentioned in Ephesians 5, and the Catechism says, and that I work hard so that I can give to those who are in need. I want to be able to be the one to give to those who are in need. I don't want the government wasting and spending the money that I give to those who are in need, and giving it to people where it actually hurts them. But there still is this important principle of working in order to be generous.
Yes.
And the government cannot enforce generosity, but I should be the one being generous and giving with my money. That means giving to the church. That means also giving to charities that are actually going to help those who are in need. So I think there's also a very important aspect where that's also emphasized in the scriptures as well. So even around the time of the apostles, I don't think that was some sort of communist nirvana where everybody was sharing their land and they all had common land, because the sin of Ananias and Sapphira was not that they sold their land. Their sin was that they lied about how much land they sold.
Yep.
And because they were wanting to seem more generous than they actually were. But still, the generosity of the early church is something exemplary and something that we should seek to imitate in the modern day church. Yep,
absolutely. You were referring to Ephesians 4:28.
Yes, Ephesians 4:28.
Yeah, the thief should no longer steal but work, that he may have something to give to those in need. One of the funny things about this whole charge that the early church was communist is that I can't find any Marxism there anywhere. I can't either. What I find is people selling their property because they heard the apostolic word, Jerusalem's going to get trashed.
There we go.
And so they're like, well, then there's no point in me buying this field or owning this field if I can't enjoy it.
There was a strong incentive to the early church
to sell everything.
That was anywhere in the environs of Jerusalem.
And you see that they did. Yeah. And the sin of Ananias and Sapphira was not, it was a very straightforward thing. They were trying to appear more righteous than they were.
Well, and we see because of God's judgments on Jerusalem that a lot of the generosity of the early church was directed towards Jerusalem just because of the poverty that was there. So I can't remember all my passages in First and Second Corinthians.
Yeah, and in Acts, Paul was gathering a gift for the relief of poverty in Jerusalem area, right?
Yeah. Why is the environs of the temple so poor with all that money coming in?
Well, that money all was coming in and being stolen. Yes, it was
by a very pious fraud. Sounds a lot like how a bunch of German tithes paid for St. Peter's Basilica via indulgences. I seem to think that was a very similar thing. It's a very beautiful building, but that was paid for by fraud.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, in the law, if you steal and are caught, you're supposed to return that which was stolen plus a fourth. And if you steal from God, plus a fifth. So 20% and 25%.
So you're saying that the government should return to us what they stole plus a fourth?
Yeah. Well, this is what's going on now. Where exactly in the law that is? I believe it is in Leviticus. I got to find it. But if you steal you have to restore that which was stolen. But if you steal from God, you have to return more. It's a fourth and a fifth, and I forget the chapter. Help me out here. I think this is something.
Yeah, so the laws of restitution.
Yeah, and this is something that should be. When you're talking about raising children,
right?
Yeah, when they do steal something, this is an important principle to.
So Proverbs 6 verse 31, but if he is caught, he must pay back 7 times what he stole, even if he has to sell everything in his house.
Yeah, well, there's
Leviticus 6 verse 4, you must give back whatever you stole, or the money you took by extortion, or the security deposit, or the lost property you found. There might be more in Leviticus 6 verse 4 about that.
Yeah, if anyone verse 2, if anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit or security or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely, in any of the things that the people do and sin thereby, if he has sinned and realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery or what he got by oppression or the deposit that was committed to him or the lost thing that he found or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full and shall add a fifth to it. There's the fifth, so 20%, and shall give it to whom it belongs on the day he realizes his guilt. So, I stole. Maybe we've gone to court and you've proved that I've stolen. Mm-hmm. I have to restore everything plus a fifth. So then. And he shall bring to the priest as his compensation to the Lord a ram. So he brings a sin offering, a guilt offering. So the priest has to make atonement for the man for his sin, and he will be forgiven. But part of the atonement is the restitution, plus the fifth. Mm-hmm. And then later, if any of the holy things, are stolen. You're stealing from God, so it's a fourth. So it's fourth and fifth. Yeah, you have to add to what you stole.
Right.
This is an important
in making restitution.
Yeah, an important thing in making restitution that with our children we should probably be teaching this,
finding ways to enforce this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you stole $5 from your sister,
in order to make it right,
return $5 plus,
plus $1.
Yeah, then there you go, done. $6. Mm-hmm. So then you've actually just enforced the biblical standard, and it's not very complicated. Mm-hmm. That's another thing too. Is it's not very complicated. We don't have to throw Johnny in jail. We could just do this.
Right.
We should probably talk about lying now.
Yeah, right, lying. Oof.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. We call that the one about lying. Mm-hmm. There's more going on than just
lying.
Saying something false.
Yeah.
It's bearing false witness, it says. Mm-hmm. You're not to bear false witness against your neighbor. You're not supposed to say of your neighbor, okay, well, he did something when he didn't.
Yeah, or he didn't do something when he did.
Yes.
There's also the what kind of character does my neighbor have? Do I just let slander go? Mm-hmm. Somebody is sitting there speaking about him slanderously. Well, should I maybe say something? It's not just that I never, in a court, say something false about the fellow. It's also, in my dealings.
Right.
I protect his reputation by speaking the truth. Another thing, too, that I find interesting, in the Catechism, one of the things that is listed, and I really do like the thought put into this part of the Catechism. What is the aim of the 9th commandment?
Right.
Yeah, that I never give false testimony against someone, right? Twist no one's words.
That I don't twist their words.
Oh, wait a minute. What else is the internet for? Oh. Has anyone talked to the writer of this catechism about Twitter? Oh. So, twisting words. So somebody says something, and what he really must mean is, and then I twist his words.
Right.
Does this sound like theological fights over FV things?
Certainly could.
Yeah.
Certainly could. So if you're putting a bad construction on someone's words, and you're saying, okay, well, what they really mean is blah blah blah, when they say, no, that's not what I mean.
Yep.
That appears to be something being addressed by that command right here about not bearing false witness against your neighbor.
Yeah, you're assuming evil intent.
Yeah.
In what they've said or done.
Mm-hmm.
You're assuming the worst.
So assuming the worst is probably a good encapsulation of what that's talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Assuming the worst or spin.
Yeah. Twisting, just saying, that Nathan guy, I think he said that because he really deep down inside believes or thinks.
Right.
And I'm
deep down in his heart, he's a fascist.
Yeah. Or he's really on he's swimming the Tiber right now, with that Paedo communion business. Whereas we in the CREC call it communion.
It's not actually swimming the Tiber because the Reformed world has the same position as the Roman Catholic world. So
now, but because you said
so,
that,
I've actually swum back across the Tiber.
Well, no, I think now you're swimming the Bosphorus. Okay, we'll find some other river for you to swim. We're going to put as bad a construction on you. Yeah, we're going to assume the worst and then publish it on Facebook. Another thing too is gossip and slander. So gossip, did you hear about so and so? Ooh, juicy.
Yeah,
that's.
I think there's a verse in Hosea, which goes along the lines of "They feed on the sins of my people," and so
right.
It's kind of like this. It's true, but you're enjoying it in a way that is not actually helpful to yourself or to the person. It's destroying this person and yourself.
Right. Yeah. I like the way you said that. You're enjoying.
Yeah.
You're enjoying the sin of another.
Yeah.
Why should we be doing that? If we love righteousness, we should not be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole practice of indulgences at the time of the Reformation was in a way feeding on the sins of my people, because they were using people's sins as a way to accumulate money in the coffers of the church. Yeah.
It was a lever, a manipulation.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too about bearing false witness. If I can provoke a falsely guilty conscience in somebody,
right,
for the purposes of manipulation, that does come down.
This happens all the time in marriages.
Yeah, it does. It does. Manipulation.
Yeah, and provoking a falsely guilty conscience.
Yeah, yeah, that is a thing. It's. Yeah, you are bearing false witness against your neighbor. You are lying. And why do I need to manipulate my neighbor anyway?
Yeah.
Why do I need to do that? That's a question that a manipulator needs to start asking. Why do I need this? What do I need that I cannot get honestly here? And I guess the other question is, why is this about me? Why is my relationship about what I can get out of it instead of what I'm giving? That's it's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about the legal language that the Ninth Commandment uses. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. It doesn't say you shall not lie. It's very specific in its framing of the language.
Right. And
so you also find a lot of Old Testament civil laws in the Old Testament, which are repeated by Paul. So for example, the necessity of 2 or 3 witnesses, and then the penalty on 2 or 3 on a lying witness. If there's a lying witness, that person shall receive the penalty that they sought to impose on the person that they were lying about.
Right.
Yes.
The The two characters that Jezebel or what was it, Jezebel?
Yep.
Who got them to speak lies about Naboth and his vineyard, were bearing false witness against Naboth, and by so doing, should have been liable to what happened to him should have happened to them.
You notice that it happened to Jezebel, though.
It did happen to Jezebel.
Because she started this conspiracy.
Yes.
Well, and you think about this with Paul as well. Paul actually should have received the penalty that fell upon Stephen because he was standing as a witness over the clothes of the men stoning Stephen.
He should have.
Anyway, just as a...
And he was actually stoned more than once. Stephen was only stoned once. Right? So Paul, I wonder if Paul was sitting there thinking to himself,
I deserve this.
Have we gotten to the end of the punishment yet? But yeah.
What was that about about adding a fifth? Or,
adding a fifth.
Didn't Paul say that he was stoned 5 times?
I think Paul said he was.
I think that was when he was going through his long list of credentials. That was one of the things that he mentioned. He was stoned 5 times.
He's like, because he earned it. You're right. The lying witness gets the punishment that was aimed for, or that would have been justly put on the accused if he had been guilty.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of principles that have built our Western legal system that come out of the 9th commandment, and then the applications of the 9th commandment in the law of Moses. But I think with wokeness, we're losing some of that sense of protections that are placed around accusations. I think more frequently we're seeing, maybe not necessarily in the court systems, but definitely in the bureaucracies, we're seeing guilty until proven innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty. So we're seeing that, especially in places like CFS and Children's Aid places. They'll take away children even before a parent is proven guilty of a crime or something like that.
Yep.
And even over things that are not crimes. So I think, that's another example.
Yeah, they operate on the guilt of the guilt is proven in the accusation.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so we're going to keep your children until we prove you innocent.
Yeah, which is wrong. That's actually kidnapping. God has some very strong things to say about kidnapping.
Yes, man-stealing.
Yeah, man-stealing makes you liable to the death penalty.
Yeah, there we go.
In the law.
Yeah.
Even if you don't kill the guy that you kidnap. That's what God's law says. That's how seriously man-stealing is taken by God.
So presuming guilty until proven innocent is a form of lying, I believe, within Scripture.
It is, yeah. Yeah, the strong presumption should be on the innocence of the accused until the proof is provided. And this is where God, 2 or 3 witnesses on the matter, 2 or 3 witnesses are required.
And the onus is on the accuser, not on the defendant. Well, there is an onus on the defendant, but the heavy weight is on the accuser.
Yep.
Okay. This is why we make you take solemn oaths in court and lay your hand on the Bible and say, I'm calling God's judgment down upon myself if I'm lying.
Yeah,
there's a reason that that unbelief has tried very hard to get that Bible out of the courtroom.
Yeah, yeah, because we don't want that,
or substitute it for Quran or
right.
Well, a Quran, some oath sworn on that book is as good as the contents of that book. So.
Yes. In which you're supposed to lie in order to...
Yes.
I think the current director of the FBI in the States, he took his oath on the Hindu Vedas or something like that.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah, that...
Which is ridiculous.
It is. I enjoy that man and many of his works, but that thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he appears to be doing good work.
Yes. And he has that job for 10 years. That's another thing. The director of the FBI is a 10-year appointment.
Oh, okay.
Now, a president can fire his FBI director.
I don't trust anyone who lays their hand on anything other than the Bible because why would you swear by something that's a lie?
Yeah, and that is a good point. Yeah, but no, the whole issue of bearing false witness. The other thing too is like. If we're going to go with a presumption of guilt until proof of innocence, right? How is this not mob
rule,
mob justice. We've got the behavior of people on the internet.
Yeah. Well, and like think of the Me Too movement, for example. Like I have empathy and sympathy for a lot of women in the Me Too movement, and I'm like a lot of women who have been through very great trials and hardship, and I think their cases need to be heard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the way that it was conducted legally, at the time that it was blowing up, made it possible for any woman to step forward and accuse any man
of anything,
and just wreck his reputation and wreck his life.
Yeah, and it's been attempted with good men, where they've been falsely accused. Several fairly high-profile cases, but there's also
and then the woman accusing him says, "Yeah, you know what? I was lying because I wanted to destroy him, and now I get off scot-free."
Yeah, there's no consequence.
Yeah,
which one of the good things about good laws, justly made laws that are well enforced, is that it causes a certain fear in a certain kind of evildoer.
Yes, yeah.
So that they do not do those things. Remember that the righteous government is a terror to those who do evil. Like good government is a terrorist.
Yeah,
towards evildoers. That's one of the jobs of a good government, is to make evildoers afraid. If I do this wicked thing, it will come back on me.
Yeah, if you have no fear of God in you, then at least you know that there's going to be some sort of temporary consequence for your actions and your crimes.
Yep.
So
yeah, the fear of God is insufficient, but maybe the fear of His minister is.
Yes,
yeah.
And I think that's why God did institute the civil government, is for those who don't fear Him.
Yeah, and a civil magistrate that fears the Lord is a marvelous thing.
Oh, it's an amazing thing.
I should like to see one.
I dream of having civil magistrates like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing along the lines of bearing false witness, one of the things that positively meditating on this command should cause us to do is to learn how to love the truth and to speak it candidly and openly acknowledge it. So there's a certain kind of fellow who can meditate on this commandment and then from it learn, I need to love the truth. Like openly love it. Just enjoy it, love it, praise it, acknowledge it, and assume that kind of posture towards the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be great to see a lot more of that in our city municipal governments and our library boards and stuff like that. Is I think a lot of people feel pressure to just shut their mouths when dealing with matters related to LGBTQ or drag queens, and it's like, well, honestly, if you're gonna be a lover of the truth and a promoter of the truth, I know it's probably hard, but if you just candidly state the truth and let the chips fall where they may, I think our society would be in a much better place than all these people who just keep on shutting up about the truth.
One of the things about a public figure is that a public figure who's willing to take a body blow for holding a true position or speaking the truth,
a mental beating,
or some public beating.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to take that, you give courage to the little man, to the guy, the average guy who just works his job and does his thing.
Yeah.
You give him courage.
Yeah.
If you see some public figure taking a beating for saying something obvious, like that was so stupidly obvious, but I see the courage of that man. It inspires in me courage in the same direction. And that is the public shaming of men who openly acknowledge and confess the true things is a tactic of the enemy for the suppression of righteousness.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And so we do have to be prepared to say obvious things.
Yeah.
And take a beating for it because of the good it does, not just for us, but for those watching.
Yeah. And we have a lot of men in Canada who don't want to take that public shaming, and so they self-censor, or They start an anonymous profile on social media.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't want to have to deal with that. But the thing is, at some point, somebody's going to have to deal with that if we ever want to see this whole thing turned around, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're going to have to. We're going to have to be men who love the truth openly. And our innermost being as well.
And are willing to be lied about in order to promote the truth.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, "Blessed are you when men slander you."
Yeah.
In fact, that is the day that you should leap for joy.
Yeah, he did say that. This is in the Beatitudes.
Honestly, it's kind of hard to do a jig when you're being slandered.
Right.
But it's possible.
It is.
Because the Holy Spirit has been given to us so that we can do a jig when we're being slandered.
Yeah. One of my favorite anecdotes about that kind of a thing is when Luther received his bull of excommunication. He read it from his pulpit on Sunday morning, accompanied by much laughing and jokes being made about the Pope.
Yeah, yeah.
And then by the end of it, he's like, and I'm not doing anything. I'm not submitting to this decree. And it's one of my favorite anecdotes about a man who, he was being slandered. I mean, the Pope figured that once he sobered up and got off the beer, that he would probably come back to the true Mother Church. Like, wow. The whole Reformation exists because of a drunk German. That's a slander.
So if we hear that there's an arrest warrant out for like a faithful pastor or elder or Christian here in Grand Prairie, what we should do is we should throw a block party and let the police come to the block party and arrest that person there.
Yeah, and another thing too, when we talk about like assuming the worst, right? Very, very often the charges brought against a faithful minister are things like, oh, he committed some sexual crime.
Yeah.
Very often not true.
Yeah.
And still, we need to know the truth of the case because there are some cases where it's true.
Yeah.
The truth must be the thing. Very often when guys in communistic countries are arrested, the charge is false.
That's right, yeah.
But it's a heinous charge. And everybody's like, well, he must have done something or else they would never have, accused him. It's like, well, yeah. You should definitely make a study of the Soviet legal system.
Yes.
I really think that's an important study because they would show up in the middle of the night when none of your friends are around and drag you out of bed at gunpoint and arrest you. And then they would tell everybody it was for a variety of, crimes. He was a thief or a swindler or, a molester of children or something. And then when you get down to the kangaroo court, what he's actually being tried for is anti-revolutionary speech. Things he said. You said something in a sermon. And then you get 20 years in the gulag.
Well, that's what happened to Wang Yi is he wasn't actually arrested for preaching the gospel. He was arrested for not following codes.
Yep. Yeah.
Basically.
Every kind of code you could think of.
Yeah,
right?
so they're trying to nail you on things that are not going to raise Christian sympathies, but they're trying to arrest you on things that make you look like an idiot or something like that, right?
Yeah. And it's a lying accusation, but the way it's done is done to suppress dissent.
Which is something that I've just thought about recently with Alberta. We have a pastor in prison right now down in Calgary, is Derek Reimer.
Yeah.
And I'm not clear on what all his theological stances are and stuff like that, but still he's in prison for something that he was doing right. He was protesting drag queens and the sexualization of little children.
Yeah.
So
what
this is actually something that
Yeah.
I've been thinking about just in this last week is nobody's doing anything about that.
No.
Nobody's even talking about that.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. And this is one of the cases where we don't love truth publicly enough.
Yeah.
We don't love
So how is the Alberta sovereignty movement going to go anywhere good when nobody's even talking about that? I think I first started thinking about that at the Alberta Prosperity Project rally because I think it was mentioned there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Why is a fellow saying an obviously true thing in prison?
Yeah. And why is nobody protesting this?
Yeah. Yeah, because we either don't love the truth right? Or we're afraid
Of suffering.
of suffering.
Let's not sufferism.
Let's not sufferism. Yes. That's the theological position of many in the church. Let's not sufferism.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, guess what?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to suffer.
No, suffering sucks. But guess what? That's life. I mean, you want Jesus was very clear. He said, they hated me first. No man, no servant is greater than his master. They hated me, so they're going to hate you. Like,
Yep.
There was something in one of the Psalms. I think it was 35 that I was working through the other day, in which it was repeated 3 times over that the hatred toward the singer of the psalm was without cause.
right, yeah.
3 times. 3 times that was repeated.
Yeah, for without cause. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
verse 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all kinds of things are done. Sometimes they're with cause and sometimes they're not. Here in that particular psalm, if Jesus is the singer of the psalm, he's saying, well, they hated me without cause. Well, that was quoted later on, right?
About that thing.
About that very thing.
Yes. And so when a guy stands up and says, hey, drag queens are just this, all we're doing is we're sexually grooming children,
Right.
and he gets thrown in jail, they've laid a trap for him without cause.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was ignorant of the trap either.
Right.
He walked right into it
Yeah.
because he clearly loves the truth
Yeah.
more than he hates the pain of the suffering. So, yeah. But yeah, the church in Alberta is not saying anything about this, and we need to.
Yep. All right.
Shall we move on to coveting?
Covetousness.
Let's
Oh.
do so.
Desire.
Evil desire.
Evil desire. Not just desire, but evil desire.
Yeah.
You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's, says Exodus 20.
So I want to start this from the positive end.
Okay.
There is good desire.
Yes.
Psalm 37, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desire of your heart. If you're coveting your neighbor's wife, he's not going to give you the desire of your heart
No.
because he hates that.
That's not a rightly ordered desire. Yeah.
Or if you're coveting your neighbor's property and you want to steal it via the government,
Right.
sure, the government might give you the desires of your heart, but God is going to give you over to your passions and your sin.
Yeah. Well, speaking of covetousness regarding your neighbor's property or his wife, one of the saddest things I ever read was about the East German Stasi. They were the secret police during the Cold War period, and a significant percentage of Germans were on the Stasi payroll. And people discovered that, like, my husband had informed against me. Like, after the collapse of the East German state, they opened up the Stasi files, and people realized that their family members had been spying on them for money. And there were many cases of two guys both interested in the same girl, and whoever ran off to the Stasi with an accusation against the other first got that guy in jail, and then wound up with the girl.
Yeah.
Like, this
That's wicked.
This happened thousands of times.
And that's the thing. The German Nazis understood.
Stasi.
The Stasis understood the sinful nature of man's heart, and they were able to turn people on each other so that they could acquire power.
Yes.
As a result of that, and this is why Canadians have to learn to be a moral people.
Yeah, and and if somebody's offering, if you just squeal on your neighbor for some alleged thing, we'll give you his stuff. That right there, that should send up a big red flag.
Yes.
This is wickedness over here.
Yeah.
Why is it that why is it that my covetous desire is being appealed to by someone? Like, why am I indulging this? I should say no. Right? First off, I should desire the right things, like you said, my own property, my own wife.
Yeah.
Or property justly acquired.
So it's a good thing for a young man to desire after a wife.
Yes.
That's a good and holy desire.
Yep.
Now, if he seeks to achieve it by trying to get a woman in bed before marriage, that's
unjust.
Sinful desire.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, or if it's somebody else's wife. That's another thing. We've already talked about adultery.
Because good and holy desires are defined by God's law.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, they are. Also the neighbor's donkey or his ox. So the ox and the donkey, these are it's not just property, it's also like productive property.
Yeah, productive
like his
property.
business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if my neighbor has a business and he's doing well, let's say, as my neighbor does,
you should rejoice with him.
I should. I should be happy that he's doing well instead of manipulating the government to make a regulation to put him out of business.
Right.
Yes.
Or
that's actually another big thing is, I think, especially in the oil industry.
Yep.
In order to drive their competitors out of business, they'll manipulate bureaucracies to add red tape in certain areas.
Right.
Yep.
Any monopoly
Operates
is doing that very thing.
Yep. It's operating like that. Yeah. No, it's quite common where I'll, let's say I start a business doing a thing, and the way I do it, it works. I'm making money at it. But then I realize that my competitor, if I get the bureaucrats to write the regulations so that they meet what I'm doing as a process, so they match what I'm doing as a process to exclude my competitor from maybe doing a similar service slightly differently, I'll do that 100% of the time to cut them out. Like, that's dirty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is, I think that is both unjust weights and measures, but it's also, it's driven from a place of covetousness.
Yeah.
Paul spoke about this law as the one that killed him, he said.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. All these other commandments, he felt like he could
figure that out.
He can work with those ones, but this is the one that killed him because it went to his internal motivations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was all kinds of evil stuff in his internal motivations.
Well, when you see Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, he takes each of these commandments and drives them down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he takes adultery goes to lust, murder goes to anger.
Yeah.
Driving to the heart. And that's what this command does, the covetousness. Like, how do you enforce a civil penalty against covetousness?
Yeah, you can't really.
Not really.
Right, because you're dealing with a man's internal heart.
Yeah.
Right? I can make a law that punishes someone who bears false witness.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make a law that punishes someone for covetousness.
Mm-hmm. Yet God does.
Because God does.
Yeah, because he's driving
right
to the inside of the man.
Right.
I love the way that the Lord's Day 44 of the Heidelberg Catechism emphasizes the depth of this commandment. And I'll just read the two Q&As. What is God's will for you in the 10th commandment? That not even the slightest desire or thought contrary to any one of God's commandments should ever arise in our hearts. Rather, with all our hearts, we should always hate sin and delight in all righteousness. But can those converted to God keep these commandments perfectly? No, in this life, even the holiest have only a small beginning of this obedience. Nevertheless, with all seriousness of purpose, they do begin to live according to all, not only some, of God's commandments. Since no one in this life can keep the 10 commandments perfectly, why does God want them preached so pointedly? First, so that all of our life long we may more and more come to know our sinful nature and thus more eagerly seek the forgiveness of sins and righteousness in Christ. Second, so that we may never stop striving and never stop praying to God for the grace of the Holy Spirit, so that we may be renewed more and more after God's image, until after this life we reach our goal, perfection. Mm-hmm. So we need to... I think the depth of this commandment really emphasizes what Jesus is getting at in the Sermon on the Mount, and that's we need him in order to be obedient, not just to this commandment, but to all of the 10 commandments. Yeah,
yeah, and here we see in the Old Covenant, the same thing that we see in the New Covenant, that the Lord is driving at the whole man.
Yeah.
He wants righteousness in the whole man.
It's never just a matter of your external conformity.
Yeah.
The Lord in the law, if what Jesus did with the law was right, which it was, taught us that you need to love the God who gave this law. That's the front end of things. You need to do all of your doings in light of Jesus is Lord, and He loves you, and He's yours. Those kind of things are necessary to know and to believe and to wrap around your heart if you're going to be obedient to God. So it's not just an external do this, don't do that. It's I need to love the Lord my God with all my heart and my soul and mind and strength. And Jesus is asked, what are the greatest commandments? Well, it's not you shall not lie.
Right.
It's you shall love the Lord your God.
Yes.
With
every part of your being.
With every part of your being.
Yep.
So, a man whose desires are set on God and who loves God above all else, he should be ready to give up everything in order to follow Christ. But still, you can have a large house, you can have a large business, you can have a wife and children with God and love for God set above all. So there's a way to be holy and a way to be righteous in this world in a very physical and real way.
And really, what joy is there in all the things if love for the Lord is not first and paramount?
Right.
What real joy is there in any of the things?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to enjoy the gifts if I don't enjoy the giver?
How can you enjoy your salary of $10,000 a month if you do not love God above all?
I would love that salary, but yes. No, it's true though.
But you can't actually enjoy it, and
no, you can't.
That's why a lot of wealthy people are very sad and miserable people because they have not set God first.
Yeah,
and they're always scared of losing it, even though they have so much.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that the fear of losing the comforts that wealth bring is quite substantial. And I know some people. Christian businessmen in our community who clearly love God and they're generous and they enjoy the gifts because they enjoy the giver.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm like, well, why can't somebody with with maybe fewer gifts, a poor man?
Yeah.
I've seen poor men enjoy God and enjoy the gifts and the giver. I've seen rich men do this. Why can't more people?
Yeah. Well, in Ecclesiastes 5, I think it says the ability to enjoy one's toil under the sun.
Yeah.
And
is
all
a gift
the gifts
from God.
Is a gift from God.
Yeah.
Like even the ability to enjoy it is a gift from God because He's given us right desires.
Yeah, Ecclesiastes speaks of the man who's always working and never enjoys the fruit of his hands and says, this guy's just he's not doing well.
He's not. No,
he's not doing well.
He's got lots of, he's a big fat bank account. He's got lots of cows.
Right.
But actually,
he can't ever enjoy them because he's
got the stuff.
Yeah, he's too wrapped around
the stuff,
the acquisition of the stuff or whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's wrapped around those things and not enjoying the giver, and he can't enjoy the gifts either.
Yep. Yeah, if your loves aren't properly ordered, nothing. Like there's no joy.
And personally, I want to get to the end of my life.
You will.
With I want to get to the end.
Just putting that out there.
I want to get to the end of my life with the ability to say, yeah, you know what? Life was rough in many ways and difficult and challenging and all of that. But I was able to enjoy the gifts that God put in front of me.
Yep. Yeah, with proper thanksgiving and gratitude and honor to Him.
Which means doing it.
Yep. Yeah. So, we could say more about these commandments, I'm sure. But should we, or should we just wrap up?
I think we should wrap it up.
We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a good conversation.
I think so.
Yeah,
3 episodes on the 10 Commandments.
most excellent.
Are they the 10 Commandments?
Yes,
Or are they the 10 words?
yes,
The 10 words.
both.
I guess
Both.
they're kind of both.
Yeah. Well, they are words. They're spoken.
Yes.
And they
All
are
right.
commandments.
Well, let us then let's close off this conversation. We are the Chinook Podcast, and we come to you with our conversation here on Exodus chapter 20. We commend to you deep dives into the Scripture. There is much, much, much to be mined in the Scriptures. We want to promote that you spend time with your Bible, that you spend time reading, that you spend time listening, soak in that word, marinate in that word, so that when you get poked or prodded, you bleed Bible. That's really what we want to see, what we want to experience ourselves. And so we want to commend to you that you need to tie yourself into the Christian church. You need to worship faithfully. You need to delight yourself in the Lord. And so we commend to you this course of action. And we pray that as our podcast is hoping and praying for the moving of the Spirit of God in Western Canada, we are continuing to think along those lines. Whatever course lays before us, we need to know the Lord, and there needs to be a deep spiritual revival in Alberta. And so pray for that with us. We are doing so. So blessings to you all. It's been a delight to have this conversation with you.